Breaking news. A bank robbery suspect in Raleigh is being treated for serious injuries after a chase and a crash on Jones Sausage Road. WRAL News is taking you directly to the scene.
We could hit a record high today, but don't make your Friday plans just yet. I'm tracking showers for your evening and a cool down for the weekend.
We need help. We need someone to tell the truth.
A daughter's plea. The Today Show released part 2 of Hoda Kotb's sit-down interview with Savannah Guthrie. Savannah's desperate calls to bring peace to her family after her mother's disappearance.
Breaking news, a suspected bank robber is being treated for serious injuries following a crash. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Levinger. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. You may have seen this, right? This update and this news alert that our WRAL web team sent out at 9:46 this morning. They alerted drivers to that situation on Jones Sausage Road and I-40.
WRAL's Carly Haynes joins us live after hearing a news conference from State Highway Patrol and Raleigh Police. Carly, that news conference ended about 30 minutes ago. What did you learn about that chaotic scene involving police with their guns drawn?
A lot of new information here. We're right by the diverging diamond on Jones Sausage Road near the on-ramp onto I-40. And I want you to look at that black car because that is the center of their investigation right now. Troopers pursued that car, who they say was driven by the suspect in this morning bank robbery. So I want to take you a little back in time when Raleigh police say a man walked into a bank. This was the Wells Fargo on Western Boulevard, demanded money. This was right around 9:19. They say a bank teller handed over that bag of money, and then later, Highway Patrol spotted the car using GPS trackers only about 10 minutes later, starting around South Saunders Street.
This person was driving in a very reckless manner. A lot of this driving was taking place on the shoulder of the roadway. Because of the dust and dirt and gravel that was being kicked up into the air, that was how our trooper kept sight on this individual. That's how far back our trooper was.
High speeds. Troopers say the suspect hit another car, crashed into a median. That suspect is being treated at WakeMed with serious injuries. And a driver of the other car that the suspect hit has minor injuries. We also know that there was a secondary car crash that happened between two cars indirectly as a result of this chase. So we're back out here live. You can see some of the cars that are still around here. The investigation's ongoing. Some crime scene tape blocking this part of Jones Sausage Road off. Just a very chaotic morning and then a very active scene with a lot of police here still. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Durham police are investigating a shooting off South Roxborough Street. This happened after 11:30 last night off of East Cornwallis Street. Police investigated the scene for about 3 hours. We're working to find out how many were shot, how many were involved, and if anyone has been arrested.
Record highs and rain are on the way, and meteorologist Amy Wilmoth has been tracking the next weather makers we're going to see. Amy, how warm will it get before the next cold front arrives?
Upper 80s this afternoon. I think we're going to break some record highs, probably in Raleigh and Fayetteville today. So a warm southerly flow ahead of our next weather maker, which is this cold front that arrives later on tonight. And you can see the rain associated with that as well. That's going to hold off until later this evening. Beautiful outside right now. This is weather from the Weld, a live look at downtown Raleigh. Beautiful outside. Some high clouds out there, but very nice, and it feels good. It's already in the 80s in some spots. Southern Pines sitting at 80 degrees at the noon hour, 78 in Rocky Mount, 79 in Smithfield. So record territory today. 88 is the forecast high for both Raleigh and Fayetteville. The record is 87. So it is going to be a very warm start, but we're going to see these temperatures dive as we head into Saturday. It's going to be much cooler. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Look at our rain chances. So for the next several hours, things are pretty quiet, but by the time we get to this evening, that's when our rain chances go up. We could see a few storms, and some of this lasts into the overnight hours as well. But good news for the weekend. It's dry, lots of sunshine, definitely cooler. 57 Saturday, 64 Sunday. I'll talk more about how much rain we could get with this system coming up.
Amy, thank you. It has been nearly 2 months since the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. This morning, we heard more from Savannah about her unshakable faith and the message for whoever has her mother. WRAL's Luis Fernandez joins us now with the most emotional story that Savannah has ever shared. Luis.
Yeah, Renee, it's pretty incredible just listening to her, thinking of the courage that Savannah and her family has shown, the tragedy of it all on a national stage. And as Guthrie describes, it rocked her faith, but her choice through it all is to stay true to what her mother would want.
Did you wrestle with your faith throughout this? You're resolute and strong like your mama, but did you, at some point during all of this, have to wrestle with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not done. But God doesn't tell us not to wrestle with him. This isn't some cheap faith. And my mom taught me that. God only requires our authentic presence. And that he has. But I never doubted. One of my mom's best friend told me that she had been going through a hard time, and she said to my mom, how have you kept your faith all these years? Why? Losing your husband, all the different things that my mom had been through. Like, Nancy, how do you keep your faith? And my mom said to her, well, where else would I go? And I hold that with me. But faith is how I will stay connected to my mom. God is how I'm holding hands with my mom. And I won't let sadness win for her.
I mean, what more can you say, right? Guthrie talked about the struggle to return to the Today Show and what her timeline looks like. We're going to have more coming up of that conversation at 12:30.
Thank you, Lewis. Tune in tonight at 9 on WRAL for a Dateline special. Savannah highlights her family's agony, the FBI investigation, and a suspect caught on video.
Oh, certainly hoping that family gets some form of answer soon. So if you're driving for spring break, the higher gas prices that we have been seeing might factor into your budget. Here's WRAL's Ali Kadlabar to talk a little bit more about what you can expect as you hit the road.
And I want to show you what drivers passing by this Sheetz here are seeing. They're seeing that regular unleaded 87, $3.89, and then diesel, $5.59. Overall, we've actually seen gas prices start to trend slightly downward the past couple days. That's according to new data this morning from AAA. In Raleigh, this morning's average is $3.79, down 2 cents from yesterday. If you're traveling to the coast, the average in Wilmington is $3.80, and out in the mountains in Asheville, it's $3.67. Gas may be down slightly, but it's still up about $1 from where it was a month ago. AAA suggests that you can save gas mileage by reducing your speed on highways by 5 to 10 miles per hour. Reporting in Durham, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
Overnight, the U.S. Senate approved funding for Homeland Security, and that wasn't long after President Donald Trump demanded the agency pay TSA agents immediately. The effect of the shutdown has put a strain on workers. At last check, nearly 500 TSA agents have quit their job after missing paychecks, and this includes at RDU.
State Senate Leader Phil Berger's primary loss is not distracting House Speaker Destin Hall from the upcoming legislative session. Hall tells WRAL's NC Capitol team that passing a budget is top priority when his chamber returns to Raleigh next month. Disagreements over tax cuts and pay raises are sticking points in negotiations. House and Senate Republicans blame each other for the stalemate. But once Berger is gone, the question will be whether the two chambers can work together more smoothly under new leadership. Senators Michael Lee, Todd Johnson, and Ralph Hayes have expressed interest in replacing Berger as state Senate leader. Others could jump in as well.
I like every one of them. Whoever they pick over there, I'll be able to work with. And that's just the reality of the situation.
We'll have more from this exclusive interview this afternoon, including Hall's proposals on raises for state employees, property taxes, and more.
Tonight, Duke will play St. John's in the Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament. The Red Storm has tough defense, and Duke will have their work cut out for them. Tip-off for tonight's game is at 7:10, and if Duke wins, they will face the winner of Michigan State and UConn. WRAL's Pat Welter and Chris Lee will be there, and they are going to give us updates on the Blue Devils' performance. Of course, you can watch WRAL's Evening News for live updates from D.C. Do not miss it.
Next on this newscast, Epstein survivors versus Trump and Google. The class action lawsuit filed and how dozens of survivors say they were, again, wronged.
Plus, banning AI data centers, the steps lawmakers are taking to make this happen, and why President Trump is dismissing some concerns.
TSA workers resigning. The workers who ensure your travel is safe, including at RDU, are quitting because they are not being paid. The progress lawmakers made overnight to change this.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
A group of Jeffrey Epstein survivors is suing the Trump administration and Google. The survivors filed a class action lawsuit over the disclosure of personal information, and this is information found in the release of files related to the late sex offender. The plaintiffs say the DOJ outed approximately 100 survivors of the convicted sexual predator when their private information was published and they were identified to the world. The government later withdrew survivors' personal information from the publicly released files. However, the survivors argue online companies such as Google continuously republish it and refuse to take it down.
The Kennedy Center is beginning the process of laying off employees ahead of a 2-year closure. In a surprise move last month, President Donald Trump said that the Kennedy Center would close as part of a 2-year restoration project poised to begin in July. It's unclear how many jobs will be affected. The Kennedy Center has employed more than 2,000 people in recent years. 2 federal lawsuits are trying to stop the closure planned for July 5th.
President Donald Trump added tech companies to a council with the goal of consulting on AI, the policies, and other issues. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, and NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang are expected to play a key role in this. They'll be tasked with shaping Washington's response to intensifying global competition in AI. But as Connor Hansen reports, some legislators are concerned about giving tech companies too much power.
We are at the beginning of the most profound technological revolution in world history.
Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introducing a new bill to pump the brakes on artificial intelligence. That would pause all new construction of AI data centers until new safeguards are in place.
A moratorium will give us time to understand the risks.
The progressive political voices warning Americans that big tech does not have their best interests in mind.
They would sell our country out if it meant that they could turn a profit.
Not all of their Democratic colleagues are on board.
I don't think it's going to stop the march of AI. This genie is out of the bottle.
Hungry for more processing power to handle all of our AI needs, big tech is paying big bucks for land to build out data centers. But some communities are pushing back over concerns about higher power bills and more pollution. A Kentucky family recently made headlines after turning down a $26 million offer to sell their farmland to build a massive new data center campus.
What God told me to do was to keep it until I was through with it and then pass it on to the next generation.
The White House has gone all in on AI as the next big thing, seeking to downplay concerns about potential drawbacks.
People think that if a data center goes in, their electricity prices are going to go up, and that's not happening. It's not going to happen.
That was Connor Hansen reporting. U.S. energy demand could triple over the next decade because of AI. President Trump has pushed to build more power plants to meet this demand.
Time is running out to weigh in on new mountain biking trails in Wake County. Leaders are asking for public input on the proposed Haley's Ranch trails at Lake Crabtree County Park. That includes county leased land and areas connected to Umstead State Park. The survey closes this Sunday. You can find a link to share your feedback on the county's website.
Well, after being closed for 2 months, Pullen Park reopens to the public April 1st. Concessions, playgrounds, and the carousel will open, and visitors can also hop aboard the new electric-powered train. The train plugs in just like an electric vehicle. The charge will last for the entire day. And the park is planning an official celebration for that new train in the coming weeks. As for that old propane engine tank, well, that's being auctioned off online starting Monday. All right, swinging into your weather forecast, because you kind of have a bit of a mixed bag coming up the next couple of days. Amy, we've got some obviously warm temperatures, but also potential rain and as well as cold temperature, or I guess cool off for the weekend.
I mean, we could have some frost Sunday morning. I'd call that cold, down into the low to mid 30s perhaps in spots Sunday morning. This is the next weather maker. It's a cold front headed our way. Ahead of it, we have a southerly flow. Very warm today. In fact, we're likely to break some record highs. There's a little bit of rain with the front right now. We wouldn't expect rain here until later this evening and later tonight as well. 78 degrees right now in Raleigh. Behind the front, look at that cool down into the 30s. That chilly air will arrive here tomorrow. High temperatures will be in the 50s instead of 80s like we'll see today. Let's talk about the arrival of the rain and maybe a few isolated storms as well. So this is 6 o'clock this evening. Our northern counties have the best chance for a stray shower or isolated rumble of thunder earlier this evening. Around 7 o'clock, some of this starts to make its way into parts of the triangle, and we'll continue to see scattered showers and a few isolated storms as we head into the nighttime hours. This is 10 o'clock at night tonight, and then looking ahead to tomorrow morning, all of that rain is moving out, and we should have a dry weekend. We just have to get through this round of rain before we can enjoy the sunshine and the dry weather. The storm energy with this is fairly low, so we like to look at this to see if we have the potential for severe weather. And we're on the low end of the scale here, very weak energy. So at best, I think we'd get some storms. I don't think we'll see severe weather, which is good news. And the storm energy stays low throughout the entire event, which is good. Just some much needed rain across the area, anywhere from about 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch. So it's not enough to really help with the drought situation that we have, but it's enough to maybe get the lawn wet, get the garden wet a little bit. This is a live look at Southern Pines at the Longleaf Golf and Family Course. Nobody out there right now. It's beautiful. I guess everybody's at work. It's beautiful outside right now. It is definitely warming up. 78 right now in Raleigh, and Rocky Mount 77 in Fayetteville. A little breezy at times. We have some gusts at 21 miles per hour up in Roxborough, 18 in Rocky Mount, and 17 in Goldsboro. So a little breezy through the day today. High temperatures eventually going into the upper 80s, and we're likely to break record highs. The record in Raleigh and Fayetteville is 87. So if we hit 88, we're breaking some records today. This evening, if you're headed out and about, I mentioned the rain and the chance for some storms. Just make sure you have the rain gear with you. Temperatures will stay mild, but will start to fall into the 50s by 10 o'clock tonight, and eventually we'll get down into the 40s. Saturday overall is looking good. We'll see those clouds move out early in the day, sunshine, a high temperature of 57. So a big drop in our temperatures. Sunday morning, we could wake up to some patchy frost, getting down to 34 degrees Sunday morning. That's why we typically tell you to hold off until maybe after April 1st to really do any planting in the garden. 64 for the high temperature on Sunday, so warming up a little bit. 76 on Monday, looking good. Opening day for the Bulls is Tuesday. It'll be warm, temperatures in the low 80s. And then we're back to some rain chances by Wednesday and Thursday.
I'm so glad you said that, because I'm definitely going to buy flowers this weekend. So don't plant those just yet. All right, prepared for takeoff. The long-awaited Artemis 2 mission is slated to take off next week, which is why tonight at 4, you're going to hear from NASA ahead of that mission to the moon.
Plus, finding missing people. North Carolina has updated its policies for missing person searches in recent years. We highlight the changes meant to make it easier to reunite families.
Next at noon, electric shift. Because gas prices rose significantly in the last month, some drivers are considering switching to EVs to save money. Why some say the switch is worth the savings.
And dishing out dollars. Why the CEO of Five Guys is handing out more than $1 million in bonuses to his employees. Welcome back. Stocks are tumbling right now. Look at the Dow dropping big time, 460 points. This would cap off the finish of the 5th consecutive week of losses for the Dow. The NASDAQ down 200 and some points, and S&P 500 in the red as well, down 60 points at this hour. Gas prices continue to rise and with no end in sight. Some are wondering if electric vehicles could be a good alternative to gas cars. Abby Haymond went digging for answers.
The average price of a gallon of gas is $1 more than it was a month ago. A jump that's hard for many drivers to ignore.
Anytime you see gas prices jump up like we've seen over the last few weeks, people start looking for alternative methods of transportation, and the electric vehicles is certainly one of those options that people have started looking.
And with growing EV infrastructure, it's an option that may seem beneficial to some drivers.
The day of the electric vehicle is here. 10 years ago, we just had a handful of charging stations around the state, but now we have well over 500.
So with no end in sight to climbing gas prices, is now the time to invest?
I've driven 3,300 miles this year. I did the math. I've paid $295 for electricity. So that's, less than $100 a month that I'm spending to fuel my transportation in a big truck.
Michael Staley, an electric vehicle driver himself, is the president of Alabama Clean Fuels Coalition, a nonprofit that promotes clean energy sources made in America.
All I've done in 23,000 miles is put washer fluid, windshield washer fluid, and rotate my tires.
AAA agrees the fuel savings are real, but says buyers should go in with open eyes.
As far as actual fuel type expenses, the electric vehicles are much more economical for you. It's just that the vehicles themselves cost a little more initially.
Now, if you're concerned about the cost, Staley says a wave of affordable used EVs is on the way. During the Biden administration, federal incentives sparked a leasing boom, and many of those leases are now expiring.
Netflix is raising prices on all its plans, and this is the first increase in just over a year. The ad-supported tier is going up by about $1 to $8.99 a month. The standard plan will now be $19.99, and the premium plan now costs $26.99. Netflix is also raising the price of adding an extra member to $7.99 for ad-supported plans and $9.99 for ad-free plans. The price hike lines up with Netflix investing heavily on live events and podcasts. The Five Guys CEO is giving workers $1.5 million in bonuses. The company launched a BOGO deal to celebrate its 40th anniversary, you may remember, but it sort of underestimated the effect it would have on workers. Some locations ran out of food, closed early, and experienced online ordering issues because of that popular promotion. The founder wrote 1,500 bonus checks praising workers for handling that surge, and this kind of boils down to about $1,000 per staff member at affected stores.
Pay for TSA. The Senate unanimously agreed to fund most of DHS in a rare overnight session. The impacts to TSA agents at RDU.
And finding land, how artificial intelligence is helping real estate agents and developers build more homes. We do have a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers right here on your screen. Good luck.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
New in the last 30 minutes, Raleigh police named the suspect connected to the bank robbery that happened this morning. 35-year-old Ishmael Santiago is in police custody at Wake Med.
He had prior warrants out for his arrest, including for assault. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live at Jones Sausage Road, where the suspect was taken into custody after a crash there. Carly.
Troopers say Santiago robbed a bank, led police on a chase, and ultimately crashed right here. And we're still standing in front of that scene of the crash. I want you to look at that black car. That is the car that police say Santiago was driving. We're starting to see the other three vehicles that were involved in this. They crashed directly or indirectly as a result. They're getting towed away. And we're right by the diverging diamond on Jones Sausage. This is right near I-40. This part of Jones Sausage is still shut down right now. I want to go back in time when police say Santiago walked into Wells Fargo. This was on Western Boulevard, and they say he demanded money. This was right around 9:19. So a teller complied, handed a bag of money over. About 10 minutes later, Highway Patrol spotted the car using GPS trackers. It led to a high-speed chase, which started around South Saunders Street and ended right here on Jones Sausage.
It is our mission, it is our goal to avoid incidents like this. And we have to weigh that line between getting a dangerous violator into custody and also keeping public safety in mind. So we're certainly glad that nobody has lost their life today.
And the suspect hit another car, crashed into the median. They're being treated at Wake Med, as you said, with serious injuries. The driver of the car they allegedly hit had minor injuries. And we also saw on our traffic cameras this morning that police were pointing their guns towards this car. The State Highway Patrol and Raleigh Police say no use of force was done here. No officer or trooper actually shot their gun today. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
I'm Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center this noon following a major update on the war on Iran, where Iran state media now says that its nuclear facilities have been targeted. This update coming in the last few minutes here. They say that the facilities were targeted today, just hours, of course, after Israel threatened to escalate and expand its campaign against Tehran. So the IRNA reports that a heavy water plant and a yellow cake production plant were struck. Yellow cake is basically a concentrated form of uranium after impurities are removed from the raw ore. So word of the attacks came after U.S. President Donald Trump, of course, claimed that the talks on ending the war were going well and gave Tehran more time to open the Strait of Hormuz. At this point, Iran is not backing down.
The U.S. Senate agreed unanimously overnight to fund most of Homeland Security, but the bill faces an uncertain future in the House. Republicans have previously rejected breaking ICE from DHS funding. WRAL's Monica Casey went to RDU, where some TSA workers quit because they're not being paid.
President Trump announced on Thursday he plans to sign an executive order to get TSA agents paid. Advocates tell me that fix can't come soon enough. Scenes from other airports like Atlanta and Houston have shown serious issues. RDU was at its busiest just before 6 this morning. I spoke with Mac Johnson, the president of the local chapter of the American Federation of Government Employees, about what's happening here. He tells me they've had 7 TSA employees at RDU resign in the last week and a half.
They're thinking about, how will I pay my rent? How will I pay my mortgage? How will I pay for child care? How would I pay for something as simple as a flat tire?
TSA officers missed their first full paychecks in mid-March.
I know of an individual whose vehicle, they were at work, and while they were at work, their vehicle was repossessed because they could not make the car payment.
If that fix doesn't happen soon, the issue could get worse. With higher call-outs and resignations, wait times could get even longer. Reporting at RDU, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Maybe you're traveling by car for your spring break trip. Let's take a look at gas prices. In Raleigh, you'll pay an average gallon of gas costing you $3.81. It has gone down a fraction of a cent since yesterday. Durham has the most expensive gas in the Triangle, $3.84, and in Fayetteville, it costs $3.75 a gallon. You can always find the cheapest gas prices in the area or wherever you go with the WRAL Fuel Tracker. Just go to WRAL.com, search fuel.
So in this final segment, Savannah talks about her strong faith, and this is in reference to the interview that she had with Hoda Kotb on the Today Show. Savannah Guthrie reveals her plans to return to that show and has a direct message for whoever took her mother, Nancy Guthrie. WRAL's Luis Fernandez joins us again to talk a little bit more about this. I mean, Luis, what did Guthrie say about the potential return to the show?
Chris, I mean, it's hard to imagine returning to work while all this is happening with your family, but Guthrie says returning to the Today Show would be like returning to family.
You said something when you were there, and you said, I don't know how to come back, and I don't know how not to come back.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I look at the Today Show, which is the answer to all my dreams, actually better than my dreams.
So how about coming back? I know everyone's wondering.
So it's hard to imagine doing it because it's such a place of joy and lightness, and I can't come back and try to be something that I'm not. But I can't not come back because it's my family. I think it's part of my purpose right now. I want to smile. And when I do, it will be real. And my joy will be my protest. My joy will be my answer. And being there is joyful. And when it's not, I'll say so. And I've been so grateful to have this family. I consider this my family, my greater family. And when times are hard, you want to be with your family.
She added she believes someone knows something about her mother's disappearance. She says, we can't breathe, we can't live, we can't go on, we can't be at peace, we can't go forward. We have to know what happened to her.
Goodness, it's the nightmare that will not end for that family. Thank you, Lewis. You can tune in tonight at 9 o'clock right here on WRAL, and that's for a Dateline special. Savannah highlights her family's agony, the FBI investigation, and a suspect caught on video.
And Savannah plans to be back on the air on April 6th, and we know the entire Today Show family will be there to support her. Helping to ease the housing crisis, how technology is uncovering viable real estate to build affordable communities.
Plus, celebrating a big milestone. The Coleman Triangle Race for the Cure is back for its 30th year. How you can join in the race to end breast cancer. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on the WRAL app, WRAL.com, and of course, our WRAL YouTube channel. There's a housing crisis in America, with prices being just too high for many people to afford that American dream.
Eben Brown shares a high-tech solution that could make it possible for more people to afford a home.
You can now assess entire cities, counties, metropolitan areas in minutes, which used to take weeks, days, years.
The White House may want to make housing more affordable, but one of the main issues is there just aren't enough houses. A big part of that problem is the logistical challenge of developing new real estate, prompting a growing number of high-tech solutions, including Prophetic, an AI-powered land intelligence program. The concept is simple. Instead of manually reviewing zoning codes, environmental laws, and parcel data across multiple states, AI streamlines this process down to a matter of minutes.
You don't want to spend your time on the county website, banging your head against the wall, conducting these manual analyses.
Now developers are using it to uncover viable land in markets desperately in need of more housing. Many of those sites were overlooked because the data was fragmented or skewed by language.
There's actually 9,378 ways to describe single-family detached homes in the United States. And so AI and large language models specifically really solve that pain point.
Centralizing all that data lowers not only development time, but also costs, leading to cheaper housing in underserved areas across the country.
You have an entire $856 billion a year industry in the United States that runs on information arbitrage. The more you know about a local market or a specific parcel, the more money you make, the more you can capitalize on those opportunities.
And that was Eben Brown reporting. The AI real estate market is expected to be worth $1 trillion worldwide by 2030.
30 years and still going strong. The Triangle Race for the Cure returns to our area next month, which is why we're going to have a live discussion with the organizers about the importance of their mission.
Also, cold front on the way. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth returns with our Seesaw spring forecast as we give you a live look from Dix Park at the Gibson Play Plaza. Today, though, a nice day to get out on the playground. Just make sure you stay hydrated.
The Triangle Race for the Cure is back for its 30th anniversary, and whether you walk or run or participate virtually, ending breast cancer needs all of us. This year's race is less than a month away, and it'll happen in a new location at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park. And once again, our viewers can join Team WRAL to make an impact. And joining us to talk about this event and the local investment are Jen Briand, the Executive Director for Susan G. Komen in North and South Carolina, and India Prather, the Triangle Race for the Cure event chair. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
So before we dive right in, let's talk about a little bit of the stats, right? So we're talking about 1 in 8 women in the U.S. being diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. And in North Carolina, nearly 12,000 women are expected to be diagnosed with breast cancer. Those are pretty sobering statistics when you hear them. So how does all this money help you, that you raise, help patients exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. So Komen has what we call a 4-prong process to helping patients. And we invest in research, we invest in advocacy efforts, whether that's legislating both federally and locally. And we also have our patient care center, which is one of our most dynamic and important resources. Our patient care center has navigators that help people every step of the way, whether it's somebody with breast cancer or a family member who's calling on their behalf. They can hook them up with financial aid. Resources, education, from how do I get a wig, how do I talk to my doctor about insurance, financial toxicity, all of those things can be helped with our patient care center. So that is one of our most important resources, and that is one of the biggest things our money goes to.
And people need that resource, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, hearing they have breast cancer, they're like, what do I do next? Well, this is how you can help in that process.
Exactly.
So talk a little bit about the importance of fundraising. Why is it so critical in your mission?
Well, there are a couple different ways, and I know India is our fundraising master at Bank of America. They're one of our most dynamic and important teams, but the fundraising really gives people an opportunity to kind of dig deep and talk to their neighbors, and every donation makes a difference. Some people get $5, some people get $500, and every donation is so critical to be able to move that mission forward. And I would love to hear from India too, because she does run such a dynamic team at Bank of America.
Absolutely. So Bank of America has been part of Komen since 2009, and collectively as an organization, we're very passionate about giving back to our community. We've had over $1 million of our associates give their time, money, energy. So it's not just, just for the cause, it's personal. We have a lot of employees and a lot of resources inside of Bank of America that we make sure take care of our associates. And we put that time forward. We make sure that associates know, take the time out for yourself, take time out for your loved ones, and definitely donate. It's one of our bigger triangle activities. We all come together. We're very competitive, so we want to make sure that we take care of everything and have fun too while we're doing it. But, like Jen said, every single dollar counts. It adds up quick. And, someone is going to be affected.
Exactly.
So, just get out there and just contribute.
So what is our goal this year? Since you are the financial expert, what are you hoping to hit?
The sky's the limit. We don't have, a set goal. We've, achieved some sponsor goals that we've had internally, but, everything counts. I don't want to put a cap on it. So, usually a goal is like, once we get there, we're done. We don't want it to be done. We want everything to count, keep giving, keep coming, even if it's time. Some people, especially in the economy, doesn't have the money to give, but you can give your time through volunteering at Komen, at the race. So that is the most important thing.
Every little bit helps.
Every little bit.
Just a reminder, the event happens on April 25th at the DBAP. It starts at 8:15 with the Parade of Hope. And of course, it'll quickly run through the schedule there. And we're going to, of course, get a little more information with it as you go that day. But remember, WRAL is a proud media sponsor. Meteorologist Mike Mays and WRAL morning anchor Laura Levine will be emceeing that event. You can learn more at WRAL.com. Just search Komen. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So that's coming up in a few weeks. Hopefully the temperatures will cooperate for that race, but we can tell you today it's going to be a hot one if you want to get out there running.
Record highs, mid to upper 80s this afternoon. We're already in the upper 70s, so definitely warm today. We also have rain and storms on the way ahead of a cold front that arrives later on today, and then cooler temperatures arrive behind the front, so be prepared for some huge temperature swings, which is very typical this time of year in central North Carolina. We'll be back down into the 50s for highs tomorrow. Look at this, a live look at the WRAL azalea gardens, and the azaleas are starting to bloom. The tulips are beautiful. There have been a lot of people out here getting photos over the last week or so. It's very pretty. It's warm out there today. It's 78 in Durham, 81 already in Roxborough, 80 in Garner, 81 in Chapel Hill. It is expected that we climb into the upper 80s this afternoon, and if we hit 88 in Raleigh and in Fayetteville, which is the forecast, we'll break the previous record of 87. We also have some storms on the way, perhaps a few rumbles of thunder and some rain arriving with the front later this evening, starting around 6 o'clock in the northern part of our viewing area, and then that rain will make its way to the south as we progress through the evening and into the overnight hours as well. I don't think we'll have severe weather, which is good. There's not a ton of energy to provide us with any severe weather, but some rain and some storms possible, hopefully helping to wash away some of this pollen. This sent in to us from Lake Gaston. Amy sent us this photo in of the pollen kind of collecting there in the lake. The tree pollen is in the very high category today. Yesterday it was high, today it's very high. Predominantly pine, oak, maple, and birch. There's some other trees in there, but just know if you're suffering from some allergy issues, it's from the tree pollen that we have out there. The high 88 today, which would break the previous record, so very warm today. We've already had 3 record highs so far this month, so this would be the 4th one. It's been pretty warm so far this month. If you look at the high temperatures, it's the warmest March on record, looking at the average high temperatures. So 88 today, look at that drop Saturday, 57 for the high, 60 Sunday, and in spring fashion, we bounce back up. We're in the low 80s as we head into Tuesday. Now, we do have some chilly mornings. Tonight, we'll get down to about 42, but Sunday morning, we could have some patchy frost. Temperatures down into the 30s, but by Wednesday, lows are already back up to around 60 degrees. A big weekend, starting spring break for many of you. If you're headed somewhere in North Carolina this weekend, it looks good Saturday. It's going to be a lot cooler across the state, but it's dry. Temperatures will be in the 50s and 60s. Sunday looks great across North Carolina as well. We'll have mostly sunny skies. Temperatures are still on the cool side, but closer to normal for this time of year. Looking ahead to Monday, 76 for the high in our area, mostly cloudy skies. Opening day at the DBAP. Tuesday, it'll be warm, low 80s for highs. And then we could see some more rain, maybe a few storms as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be right back after this break.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following for today. We're staying on top of breaking news this afternoon.
Raleigh police named the suspect who is tied to a bank robbery this morning. 35-year-old Ishmael Santiago is in police custody at Wake Med, where he's being treated for serious injuries following a crash. Troopers say Santiago robbed the Wells Fargo Bank on Western Boulevard and took off with a bag of cash. They say he then led troopers on a chase until crashing at Jones Sausage Road and I-40. 2 other people had minor injuries.
If you're driving for spring break, the higher gas prices we've been seeing might factor into your budget. But the good news is we're seeing a slight trend downward, at least in the last couple of days. In Raleigh, the average price for a gallon is down 2 cents from yesterday. Still, though, gas prices have climbed about $1 in the last month. You can find the cheapest gas with the WRAL Fuel Tracker.
Tonight, Duke will play St. John's in the Sweet 16 round of the NCAA tournament. The Red Storm has tough defense, and Duke will have their work cut out for them. WRAL's Pat Welter, Chris Lee, and Brian Murphy are all in Washington, D.C. for the action. Look for live updates during our evening news and highlights on our late news. Tip-off is at 7:10.
Our pet of the day comes to us from the SPCA of Wake County. Mrs. Meatball is a 10-year-old female cat. Hello. She is exceptionally affectionate and a great cuddler. Her favorite thing to do is to stick her tongue out at you. All right. She's done well with children and other cats. And Mrs. Meatball's adoption fee is $65, which includes her spay, microchip, and vaccines. Contact the SPCA of Wake County to learn more.
No. She gets to keep the name. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Hope you have a blessed day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.